beautiful day to you, our esteemed viewers from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, and welcome to another interesting episode of the program Disability Voice. I am Favor Ajara, your beautiful host. Disability Voice program is created to educate the church and the general public that persons with disabilities can be loved, can be enabled, can be empowered, and can be educated because disability is not a stigma. The program is also to advocate for the rights and the interests of persons with disabilities. Viewers, today we'll be looking at a very interesting topic of today that says coping with disabilities. You know, coping with disabilities has to do with personal experience. So I have a guest here who is willing to share her experience with us. She's the person of Miss Perpetua Anyao. Miss Perpetua Anyao, she's a teacher and she's also an entrepreneur. You're welcome, ma'am. Good to have you in the studio today. You're welcome. So our viewers are so eager to hear from you, you know, the experience, the bubbling, and so please, can you tell us when and how did your disability start? Because so many people, they feel, you know, the misconception about disabilities, you know, it differs. Yeah. So some people feel disability happens due to maybe a cause from somewhere or this or that. So I want you to tell us your experience. When and how did your own disability start?
Okay, I wasn't born with disability. I grew up like every other child. My childhood age, my teenager age, I was fit like every other child. It was towards the end, late teenager to the early adulthood that I fell sick one day. And like every other sickness that anyone can fall sick of, I started having this hot sensation in my right leg. And from the home I came from, once you have just headache, you must go to the hospital. So my dad insisted I should go to the hospital. I went to the hospital and I met the doctor there. And a kind of cream was prescribed for me to apply on the leg. I went to the pharmacy myself. I walked myself to the pharmacy. I bought the cream. It was called Bengin. Yes, I won't forget that name. So I took the drug home. I started applying the way I was instructed to apply. The more I applied, the more the leg kept swelling. And that was it. The next day I was rushed. I couldn't stand with my leg again. I was rushed to the hospital where they started calling all sorts of names, carrying out all sorts of tests. And before they say you have to operate on the leg, the bone marrow is infected, you have to open up the bone, flush out the bone marrow, the bone refused to heal. I was in the hospital for like 1 year in the hospital. Yes. You have to refer me from the hospital, from one hospital to another, like that. Anyone I go to, they have to operate on the leg, like that. And in the long run, I was asked to start using this. Not even this at first, but the wheelchair at first. And so I felt, how can my life be like this? But that was the only way I could
move around
yeah, and continue my life from where
you stopped.
I stopped before the illness started. So since then, I have to start learning how to use the clutches. I learned it. And because of that, I had to stop school. Somewhere that I still cannot go to school, so I had to stop school. So when I was able to start using this around the house with the assistance of my parents and my siblings, my dad was like, okay, you have to go back to school. So that was how I went back to school using.
Wow, this is really interesting. Your late teenage stroke adulthood. Yes. This is why we say that disability is everyone's business. It can happen to anyone. Viewers, this is really an interesting experience. So please, can you tell us, have you ever faced any experience coping with your disability? You know, it's something that happens in your mid-age now.
Yes.
Now, coping with it, have you ever faced any challenges in the process, even up till now? Are there challenges?
So many challenges. So many challenges. Like the buildings we have in Nigeria here, most of them are not disability friendly. You have to look for an easy way to maneuver your way if you are going to do something upstairs. So the buildings are not
Accessible.
accessible. And there's some places too, some roads like walking on the road. If I don't walk to a junction, I won't be able to cross to the other side. And if something maybe you don't have enough money, you want to take drop to cross, you know what Nigerians used to do now. So those ones are challenges. And again, trying to meet up with my peers is something that everybody is just on its own. There's only a few people that want to show love. Once they ask you, how can we help you and all that. But what has been helping me, I have come to realize that I have to use this. I have to use this to make sure to use this so that I can continue my life. If not, I'll just be left
Behind.
Yeah. So I decided on my own and with the encouragement of my parents, I decided not to leave behind. So I try to fit in anywhere I find myself so that I will not be left behind.
Life must go on.
Yeah,
That's very interesting. So now, how are you able to cope through these challenges? What inspires you to live above these challenges? One is to have these challenges. Two is to, yes, I'm facing challenges. How are you able to cope through? Then I have challenges. Coping through the challenges. How are you able to cope through?
one is how I'm able to cope with this disability, this challenge that I encounter is the determination. I see myself as somebody that had God created me to fulfill a purpose. Okay. And once I sit sometime I read study the word and I remember that I'm not here to just pass through the world and anything like that. I'll just like encourage myself that no matter how sometimes it's painful though, sometimes it's difficult, but no matter what, I just have to live a life. And again, I have this parent, my parents are so helpful. My late dad, he died this year.
Oh,
He was so helpful.
may so rest in
He was
peace.
pushing me. He kept pushing me. He kept reminding me that I just have to live a life. I just have to live a life. Sometimes when I'm trying to kind of give up, you were like, you don't have to give up. You must live a life. He kept encouraging me, and that is one thing that is one thing that kept me going. Kept me going. If I come up with anything that I want to do, and I let him know, he just encourage. Don't just look into it and like this is how it should go. Just help me. So it makes the disability a bit stressful.
Yes.
So that when you have just have somebody that is backing you up, you don't
You won't feel
feel
the stress.
yes,
Yes.
the stress is not that much. Unlike maybe you're just doing it on your own, nobody is there to encourage you, nobody is there to help you. You feel as if you should end it all. But I have the backing of my parents and my siblings, and I'm
So
able to cope. And I'm still coping.
yes, coping, and by God's grace, we'll cope through
Yes.
till when Jesus Christ comes. That's very interesting. Now, have you ever faced any discrimination? Yes, families, the family love is there, but in the society, you're going out, you meet with friends, you meet with people, especially you that is a teacher, you are in a school environment. Have you ever faced discrimination in any way?
Yes, I had faced discrimination, but I make sure that I'm not being discriminated.
I like that one.
Yes, I have faced discrimination, but I make sure I'm not being discriminated. I try not to live a life of sympathy. A life where people will be seeing me and be pitying me, hey, because she has problem with her leg, because she cannot walk like every other person. So I make sure I don't, nobody discriminates me. Okay? I make sure nobody discriminates. I don't pity myself. I don't entertain pity from anybody.
That's good.
So if you are trying to discriminate me, I will put it up to you that it can't come to me. but it's there. Sometimes people like this lady that is using crutches, she cannot do. I make sure I change that narrative from people so that they will know that discrimination, disability is not a limitation to me to achieve whatever I want to achieve. So discrimination, I make sure I don't even see it. It's there, but I make sure it doesn't come close. Yes.
That's interesting. You know, the word discrimination is there, but I make sure I'm not discriminated. You know,
Yes.
that is a word.
Yes.
You know, persons with disability need to hear this because so many persons with disability out there, they feel once they are being discriminated against, their self-esteem goes down.
Goes down. That's true.
They are not able to cope
Yes,
in the society
that's
anymore.
very
You know,
true.
it's not everybody that has such hearts to carry the discrimination that is going on in the society. Some people just want discrimination like this. You won't see them again. They will just go in and lock themselves. And they will just feel that they cannot do anything, they can't achieve anything again.
I thought of that too when I started learning this. When my dad asked me to go back to school, I started thinking of how would society be looking at me? Maybe somebody that was so strong. I used to play football in my secondary school days then. So I was like, people will be looking at me. But I got encouraged. I got encouraged. Not because people will look. People will be looking at me, trying to see how I will react. But I had a backing that made me not to accept that. So I don't really face discrimination because I make sure you don't discriminate me.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So going forward, I still want to ask. Now, have you ever met your maybe a fellow colleague who is also persons with disability and you felt bad at yourself? Just, I'm here now. I'm a person with disabilities. And you know the stigma of she's also persons with disability. Why should I come close to her? And some persons they don't like associating with.
No, I don't. I'm
You
not
know.
like that. Once I see somebody with disability, I feel relaxed within them. Sometimes, like when I came in, I saw somebody. I started chatting with her because I've seen somebody somebody that understands life the way I understand life, the way somebody that experienced life the same way I experienced life. Most time when I go out, I see them on the streets. Those beggars. I used to
Encourage them.
talk with them, laugh with them because
Yeah.
I feel if I
They
feel
need that love,
yes,
right?
they need that love and from somebody like them, they feel they sometimes most of them even open up to express themselves to me because they feel maybe they know that I understand what they are going through.
Yes.
So I don't because that one is a discrimination. If you do that, you are discriminating them too. So why should you start when the able people, the so-called able people are there doing their things together? So we too should be doing our own things together. We should not discriminate us. If the society discriminates us and we discriminate ourselves, that means nothing is left again. So I don't do that. Once I see them, I feel encouraged. I feel relaxed with them. I feel we are pushing the same cause.
Yeah.
Do things together.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is really interesting. Viewers will go on a short break. When we come back, we continue with the conversation. Don't go anywhere.
Now streaming, now analyzing, now assessing, now discussing, now sharing your thoughts on everything and every issue that affects you. ACNN is now streaming, discusses the issues trending and the matters that matter to us all. Join us every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. on ACNN as we go in depth into every issue that impacts our lives, our communities, and our country.
Welcome back, viewers. If you are just joining us, this is the program Disability Voice. And today we are looking at a personal experience coping with disabilities. And still with me in the studio is Miss Perpetua Ayao. For those of you who are just joining us, Miss Perpetua Ayao, she's a teacher and also an entrepreneur. You're welcome once again, ma'am. You know, the stories you're actually telling us are really quite motivational. And I still want to ask, can you please tell us about your education? Because as we can see, we know you are a teacher Okay.
A proud one.
A proud one at that. So can you tell us about your educational background?
Okay, I had my primary school, secondary school here in Abuja, and I did the NC, National People's Institute, Kaduna. I'm a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria,
Wow.
where I read guidance and counseling. And I'm also a master's student. If not because of the strike, I would have graduated by now. So I would say I'm still a student of Ahmadu Bello University, running my master's program on guidance and counseling still. So that is it for now. I love education. I think education is something that one needs to have, most by those people with disability. If you have education, you have power. If you have education, you can cope sometimes in society because you have something to give to society.
Yeah.
But if you don't have, that is where the people will start thinking maybe they should just be having pity on you and nothing because they think you don't have anything. But when you have education, you get educated. If you cannot get educated, you acquire skills so that you can be empowered for yourself and for society.
Wow. That's interesting. Now, when you were talking earlier on, you made mention of how your father motivated you to make sure you get education, to make sure you don't feel downcast just because the disability happens.
Yeah.
Now, and you also made mention that you lost your father. Is it this year?
Yes.
May his soul rest in peace. So, how are you able to cope through this months of not that's the father not being there to motivate and not being there to play the father role?
It has not been easy, honestly. It has not been easy. I never knew I would be able to come through it this time. I was thinking maybe after him I will follow up because I least expected him to.
It's not yet your time.
To leave when he left. But God knows the best. And then the little he did, the little impact he made in my life is still on. He's still on. He's still on. He was able to. He was there for me. I remember when I was in the hospital sometime, the pains were too much. I remember him asking the doctor one time that, is there no way this pain can be transferred from my daughter to me? That statement alone I was like, God, I don't even want this pain for anybody. But my father, asking for that pain alone was something I hold on to then. He was there. He was just there for me. And this is something people with disability need. They need people
around
them, not just around the people that will encourage them, not to make them feel whatever pains they are passing through. Not people that will be there insulting them, telling them this, making them know that they have limits. But I was so lucky. Maybe I'm one of those people that are lucky to have good parents and siblings around me that were there doing everything to make sure I don't really feel it that much.
Wow.
I thank God for that.
May his soul rest in peace. So that's quite interesting. Siblings love goes a long way in helping the mind.
Yes.
The mind you see can wander around, but when your relatives, your siblings are not there to help you out, and also the society is not there to also motivate you, it becomes a challenge on its own. But even at that, we also encourage ourselves to also
love ourselves. You must love yourself first. Because if you don't love yourself, people will not learn how to. Will not know how
that
to love
is
you.
it.
You just
That
have to
is
love
it.
yourself first.
That's it.
That is just the thing. If you don't love yourself, how will I know that
you are able.
Yourself anyhow, treating yourself anyhow. People are watching you.
Mm-hmm.
They will come and treat you anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are there, you are taking care of yourself, loving yourself. People are there. They will like, this person loves herself. I won't go there. I won't want to go there and start hating her or treating her anyhow. You have to love yourself first. Very, very important.
Yeah.
You need to love yourself first.
Now, passing through primary, secondary, NCE, and even the university, BSc, you now talk of masters. How has it been? Disability,
Okay, the primary school, I was not disabled.
Okay, yes, you made mention of it.
The end of it was just the final year that I felt sick. Okay, so It was in the NCE. Even in the NCE, I was still going for treatment once in a while, go for surgery and come back. It was not easy. Honestly, it was not easy. Even the worst was in the university where we have lectures upstairs. But as God will have it, I'm always blessed to have good people around me. I have good classmates. Then most times, sometimes you have lectures in a particular hall, the lecturer will come and say, I'm not using that hall again. People start running around. So most of them, what they do, they'll ask me to stay in a place, you go get the right hall, they come and help me. If it's where they will help me to climb up, they help me to climb up. If it's where maybe classes, but sometimes I'm lucky they have a hall down stairs that I can go. But most time they help me to get seats too. Even the hostel, most time I have people that help me around in the hostel. Sometimes they are not around. There are some people that work in the hostel, you give them some money, they help you run around to do whatever you want them to do. Unlike people that are disabled, that are able, they do their things themselves. But people that are disabled, we spend more to get what
Yes. That's why they said disability is expensive.
very, very expensive. Very, very expensive.
Disability is expensive. It's not just a word.
Most times, the bad thing about it is that most Nigerians, the drivers or people that want to help, they use that as an advantage on people with disabilities. Maybe a place that costs me, for example, a place that costs 100 naira to take people to. When they see they want to charge you 1,000.
Opportunity, because they know that you don't have choice.
You don't have choice. You just have to. So very, very expensive. Disability is very, very expensive, honestly. That's why we need people to help us around so that we can be able to cope with it. It's very expensive.
Disability is expensive, and we need you, the society, to help us. Not when you see us, you have to take advantage of the disability. It's not good at all. Now, I still want to ask you now, you go on and on and on and on. What really inspires you to let me keep going? Yes, the father's love is there, siblings' love is there, even the society, friends. Yes. What keeps you going?
Determination. Determination to fulfill the purpose of God creating me. I just I kept telling myself I'm not a mistake. And disability is not a limitation to me. I just have to get that. This just like you are running a race. You are running a race for a particular goal. And you just have to keep encouraging yourself to get it. So I'm being determined to make a mark somewhere, to leave an impact. And I discovered that education is one of the tools that I need for it.
Yes.
And I key into it with the encouragement of my dad and my mom and my siblings.
Wow.
That was what kept me going.
And we also know that you are an entrepreneur. Yes. Yes. How do you go about that too?
I think the disability caused it. When I was in the hospital then, they thought of so many things to help me cope with the pains I was going through then. And I started learning some skill on the sick bed, like bead making. I was doing it there on the sick bed, and it was just like a therapy. And I discovered I could make money from it. So that was how it started, and as though we have it, I was seeing people were loving it and they were paying for it. And I started discovering I can do other things with my hands, things I can't run like every other person, I can't do things like every other person. I started doing little things like that. Anything that the hand can do, I make sure I get myself involved.
That's to say, there is ability in disabilities. That's interesting. So now, with your experience, you've seen it, you've gone through it, and you are still in it. What is your advice to people with disabilities out there? And also your advice to the general public?
My advice to the people with disability out there is that you should not hate yourself. Don't discriminate yourself. Don't hate yourself. Don't discriminate yourself. Get yourself empowered. Get yourself. You cannot, if you don't have the intellect to read, to study in school, get a skill. Make sure you are not too dependent on anybody. Make sure you have something. If somebody wants to give you, for example, wants to give you 100 naira, I think you should have 10 naira of your own to buy things for yourself. So don't hate yourself. That is, people are watching. If you hate yourself, people hate you. Love yourself. get empowered by either acquiring education or skills for yourself, and before you know it, you will fit in. And society, you have some parents have children with disability, hide them inside. They don't bring them out, thinking of they're looking at what people in society will see. But those children, they need to have their own life. You won't be there for them forever. Just like my dad died this year, I never expected it. Same with most of our parents that have children with disability. They will live someday, and that child, if that child is not empowered, the child is not skilled, the child will be left with nothing. That is where that child will suffer the more. So don't hide them, bring them out, let them get used to society, let them get empowered, let them get skilled, get education if they can, and then it will be a conducive society for everyone.
For everyone, yes.
Society should not. We don't need sympathy.
We need empathy.
We need empathy.
Yeah.
We don't need sympathy. Sorry. No sorries. They are not going anywhere. Sometimes you'll be looking at people, seeing what if they can be able to do some things for themselves. You know you can help that person. Don't let that person pass through that stress too much before you help him or her. Okay. You have somebody with disability around you. Once in a while, you check on them, know how they are faring. Some of them are passing through so much stress that once those little encouraging words you tell them can go a long way to help them every day of their life.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate this you're sharing. It's quite interesting, and I know one or two of the viewers must have learned from it also. Really want to appreciate you for coming up to the program today to share your experience. We say thank you, and we hope to have you again in the studio with us. Thank you very much for coming, ma. Viewers, this is where we draw the curtain of today's episodes, coping with disability. You know, it's quite an experience. Like when someone is sharing her personal experience, that's when you will know that there is really ability in disability. So we draw the curtain of today, and till we come your way again, same time, same station. Remember, disability is everyone's business, and the word is leave no one behind. Stay blessed. I remain Favor Ajara. Bye for now.